So following on from that, I would like to introduce you to Deon. Deon, as I said, is a member of the technical advisory group. But Deon, if I could hand over to you, maybe if you could just start by giving a little bit of an overview of your background and perhaps touch upon your involvement with the H-tag as well, please.
Sure. Thanks very much, Tristan, and welcome everybody to this webinar. It's a pleasure to be involved, and certainly I enjoy my working with the One Direction team and with the Harps initiative in general. Just a little bit of background to this first slide. The International Fresh Produce Association we were originally called PMA, Australia New Zealand, but in January last year, January 2022, United Fresh and PMA in the United States joined together and created the International Fresh Produce Association. So we've been going about 15 months now, but we're still trying to get our name out there. A change of name and a change of logo does create challenges. Everyone remembers PMA, but not necessarily the International Fresh Produce Association, which is a little bit of a mouthful. But we do essentially all of the same things. We look after food safety, we look after marketing, we look after talent in the industry, we look after innovation and technology. And one of the big things that we're pushing at the moment is sustainability. If we could just click to the next slide, that just gives an overview of IFPA in general. We've got three main tenets that we try to prosecute. That is to advocate, to connect, and to guide across the entire fresh produce and floral chains. And if we go to the next slide, my background is that I've worked in food safety for too many years, longer than I care to admit to. But in IFPA, my role is to support, as head of food safety, is to support initiatives designed to improve the safety of fresh produce across the Australian, New Zealand food supply chains. So I do that by providing guidance and advice. I run regular webinars, provide technical notes and strategies to manage food safety and provide expertise in food standards and regulations. And that's a strong part of what I bring to the program, because I have a long background in food regulation, the development of food standards, the implementation and oversight of food standards. So that's where I come in, and it's across not only just fresh produce, but I've worked across seafood, dairy, the meat industry, etc. So if you click once again, I'm a member on the H-tag, the Technical Advisory Group, where I provide guidance and assistance. My background, if we go way back, is I'm a food microbiologist, so I'm across microbiological food safety, but also chemical food safety, which is equally important, but not such a big issue for us in this fresh produce sector. So I provide guidance to the H-tag. You know, we have challenges with things like, what about irrigation water? What should the status of irrigation water be with things like leafy vegetables, or those highly perishable, ready to eat or fresh produce that won't undergo any further processing, such as cooking? How do we manage potential contamination from irrigation water? How do we look after things like the use of manures, animal manures, or green waste? What are the exclusion periods between the application of manure to soil and when we can harvest a crop? Recognizing that, you know, there may be the introduction of pathogens from that manure into the soil, into the production environment, that could contaminate a product. Things like hand washing, the challenges of how do we ensure that people can wash their hands effectively in the field, and what are the strategies we do if we don't have access to town water with less than 1 E. coli per 100 mil. So, you know, thinking about things like washing with what we might call non-potable water, and then the use of a hand sanitizer. Is that an appropriate way to manage the potential risks associated with contamination on people's hands, and how we ensure that, you know, the produce they're handling is handled in a hygienic manner? So that's the input I have into the H-tag. We click once more. I'm also involved in the retail committee, only as an observer, but again, to allay those concerns, or to explain or to clarify something that we've identified in terms of modifying the standard through the H-tag process. So it's about giving that reassurance to the retailers and doing that in an independent, science-based, risk-based approach. So everything I do is about evidence and the science. And of course, the science is continuing to evolve, and we do have challenges. We see a lot of literature that has conflicting results. I was looking at something this morning about the potential for listeria contamination of mushrooms, and there's literature that says yes, it's a potential problem, and other literature that says it's not. So my role is to take that information, mine that information, and try and find an interpretation which is logical, which is science-based, which is risk-based, which is not too onerous. It's justified on the basis that it's plausible and can be done. We're not in any way trying to impose processes and practices particularly on our growers, which are not based on science and which are not based on that overwhelming desire to ensure food safety. So Tristan, that's about where I'd stop, and I think I hand over to Brees now.